Well, good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Heidi, thank you for inviting me, and Guy and Stan, and for staging this terrific gathering. I'm really hoping to learn a lot, and that by the end of the conference we will have solved the problem. So I want to just start with a quick story. I got to put on my timer before they get the gongs and hooks ready. I heard a story not too long ago. It seems pertinent to our gathering this morning and to my colleagues who are going to be talking after me. So there was a guy who was invited to give about a 10-minute speech, and he was one of three people who was going to do this. And he got there, and he went on 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Half of the people in the room were gone. Went on 40 minutes. Almost everybody else in the room was gone. As he approached the hour, there was one person left in the front row. And so he said, I see that everybody else has left. How come you're still here? He said, I'm the next speaker. So I will try. Look, what I want to do this morning is try to connect some dots. This is a perennial exercise for all of us, and particularly at this gathering, where we have at least three constellations of things that we're trying to put into some kind of Brownian movement with each other. So one of those is the whole business of conflict, collaboration, and its linkages to governance. The second one is the business of the sectors, private, public, civil sectors, and I include academia in that civil sector. We could make it separate, but why? So that's a second constellation. And then there's certainly a third one, which is all about economics, environment, equity, the whole triple bottom line business, the sustainability equation. So this is not a very easy task, intellectually, or emotionally, or philosophically, or spiritually, or any which way. It's a heavy lift, but I really do think we can make some headway on this if we talk smart and listen carefully, pose questions, and bring different pieces of knowledge to the table. So I want to start with a film clip, and let me make sure I can get this up on the screen. Maybe we won't have that film clip. Oh, there we go. So this is a film clip from the movie Miracle, which is about the 1980 hockey team, U.S. hockey team, that was supposed to finish last in the Lake Placid Olympics and wound up beating a very powerful Russian team and ended first. How many of you have seen this film? Well, let me ask you this way. How many of you have not seen it? I want to urge you to get a life and go to a lot of movies and have a good time. So movies are instructive. So this is quite a true story, and movie, Hollywood version, but it's about Coach Herb Brooks, who was at the, I think, University of Minnesota. Am I right? Yeah. And so he was anointed as the coach of the U.S. Olympic team, and he had a very different philosophy than a lot of the other coaches. He didn't believe in finding all the prominent, big first-string players. He wanted to work with second and third-string players who were really good. And his theory was that I can get them to work together in ways that the big egos of the first string won't happen. So watch this film for a moment.
Blue line back, red line back, far blue line back, far red line back. And you have 45 seconds to do it. Get used to this drill. We'll be doing it a lot. Why? Because the legs feed the wolf, gentlemen. I can't promise you we'll be the best team at Lake Placid next February. But we will be the best conditioned. That I can promise you. Be prepared to go through pain, gentlemen. You're going to skate harder than you've ever skated in your life. Every day you're on ice with me. You stretch things out north and south, you open things up east and west. The center's going to fill in here. This winger, this far side winger, he's going to come in here and take the center spot. What's your name?
Mark Johnson.
Where are you from, Mark?
Madison, Wisconsin.
Who do you play for?
University of Wisconsin coach.
Come on, go, boys, go. weaving for weaving's sake. Spread out, use the ice. Come on, Jimmy. Challenge him. Keep the feet on his side here, Jimmy. Challenge him. Yeah, I don't blame you.
Not good. Not good.
How about you? Which good team did you play for?
University of North Dakota.
I said, come on, come on! No! Get into a play! You're quarterback in this play! Come on, Rizzo, I got you running this play. See what's gonna run right now at the bench. Matt, get out here! Boom, he can hit it. Boom, boom, boom. We're opening up options. See? We've got 4 options on one play, guys. You guys got that? Anybody have any questions? Okay, let's go.
What the hell is he talking about?
Any of you are going to late classes, 6 are going home. That is, believe it or not, it's up to you. How about you? College. What do you play for?
UND Bulldogs.
You 3. Run that again.
Again?
I understand how you feel.
Now, I know you'd rather just watch the movie. So, but let me just say 2 words about this. So, one of the things he does in the film, when those who've seen it understand this, is that he keeps asking his scrubs on this squad, who do you play for? And they say, oh, University of Minnesota. Well, I played for you, coach. University of Wisconsin, Boston College, Boston University. And comes a moment of absolute fatigue when one of them said, I think it's a Ruzioni, who says, I play for the USA. And it changes everything. It changes everything. Suddenly there's a transcending purpose. Suddenly the whole chemistry of the team shifts and changes. And so the question I want to pose to you today is, what team do you play for? What team are you part of? Can we assemble smart cross-sector groups, smart teams, smart projects, smart initiatives that are able to deliberate and negotiate and talk well, even if it's tough talk, and get some things done? So that's the question. And that question continues to interest me a lot. In that spirit, I want to tell you a couple of stories. And Stan started this yesterday by saying stories are powerful. Stories are what we're going to be about very much at this meeting. I really think it's part of the chemistry of bringing groups together. They're powerfully important. Stories take us back when we were all around campfires, when we were 25,000 years ago coming out of the Pleistocene, and our affiliations were tribal and clans and groups, small groups, and we still have that. That still goes on. Through stories we learn about life and love and death, and gods and monsters and enemies and friends, and all the interesting things I saw today when I was walking down the river. Out of that comes literature, out of that comes movies, out of that comes plays, and so on. So stories are great. So I want to just talk about 3 projects. And I'm talking about projects from the Keystone Center, but these could, because those are the ones I know. These could be your projects, and they certainly are. I hope they are. I hope they have some patterns for you. So the first one I want to tell you is about the Green Products Roundtable. This is a project underway, and it's a place where those cross sectors are meeting with sustainability, with the issues of conflict and governance. It's an intersection for all these things. So the Green Products Roundtable started a couple years ago with a few of our board members who do a lot of issue spotting for us. And they said, there's a coming train wreck out there. There's about 500 to 700 eco-labels. We all know what those things, eco-labels are. I have a portfolio down here that says it's made of post-consumer recycled materials made of plastic water bottles and old yogurt containers. It's kind of a neat portfolio. I quite like it. But what does it mean? And who said? And where's the verification? And how do we know? Particularly as you have this inflation of green labels. Or if I held up 2 pens and I said, which one of these might be greener? And I actually have one there that is made out of cornstarch. Well, on the portfolio I have, what about the zippers and grommets? Those aren't made out of recycled materials. And on the pens, There's ink tubes and ink coming out, and I don't think that was made out of cornstarch. So each of these assertions are in the marketplace now in the world of commerce, green commerce, which is a global business, a huge and increasingly important part. So some time ago, some board members came to us and said, better get on this. You know, Peter, there's a project here. Bring people together, bring the experts together. And so we've been at it for 2.5 years. Not a short process, not a hit and run process, not a drive-by process. But lo and behold, after 2 years, we have industry, NGOs, certifiers, labelers, government people at the table, and they're producing what will be the beginning of some kind of an authoritative, knowledgeable, respected entity that can weigh in on standards, that can do meta standards, that can host a corporate pledge for companies that want to put their name out with substantiation, that are creating the intellectual frameworks to figure out what's green, greener, greenest, and how do you know that from the science.